Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is Jack and Flobo Wrestle with your questions, and we are coming to you live all across the great state of California and broadcasting across the universe. Aliens will see this someday
We're in the
in the
same
Andromeda
county.
Galaxy. But and we've got all sorts of questions to answer for you. A lot of good ones, a lot of interesting conversation coming up for you. But before we get started, let me introduce to you the amazing person I get to work with today. He's a host of AfterBuzz TV's Raw After Show, as well as the CEO of the Flobo channel with all sorts of things. I like What's Up Flobo, but most importantly, he's also the undisputed champion. You can see it sitting behind him, that beautiful title. Flobo Boyce, how's it going, buddy?
I am doing okay. I just saw this making this playlist for the show. We're on episode 8 of Wrestling with Your Questions, a little show that could, and I had to celebrate, but actually unwrapping the Undisputed Championship. Still my favorite WWE title ever of all time on my mantle or dresser or whatever that is, chest of drawers. I don't know what you call it.
I like to imagine that it's so shiny, you see your reflection in it, and you look at it and you see yourself, and it makes you feel like, I am a champion.
Yeah. You know what? This is gonna sound really weird, but like in books with like meditation and all that like new age stuff, it's always like believe in self affirmations, and I could never do that. I could never be like, you are smart, you are worth it. But if I walk into my living room with a championship doing one of these and like announcing myself as a champion, you really do feel it because the belt is weighted, so you feel like
Yeah.
it's nuts.
My Facebook profile picture is still the time you let me hold it. So,
Yeah, yeah, man.
so I totally get it.
Back off, ladies. He's taken.
A, uh, a I listened to a podcast by is it a hypnotherapist or something? I can't remember. But anyways, he talks about how the brain works. It's an interesting thing. He doesn't try to hypnotize you on the show that I know of, but he talks about like how the brain works and how things like affirmations work and things like that based on how your brain works. And he says one of the things he talks about is you shouldn't say things like I am smart, because your brain, if you're self-doubting, will be like, no, you're not. Like internally, it's kind of like going, why are you smart? I don't get that. But
Yeah.
if you tell yourself, I am getting smarter, or I am working on getting smarter, then your brain will actually open up the neural pathways to allow yourself to learn and things like that.
Have you tried it?
Yeah, I've tried it. I don't know how well it
That's
works.
at least convincing. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it. I mean, again, I don't know if it's any good or if it's going to make any difference, but yeah. So like, because you're saying like, if you tell yourself like, I know how to speak Chinese, it doesn't mean you know how to speak Chinese, because Chinese isn't a language. It's Mandarin, or it's what's the other one? Cantonese. Yeah, but if you say to yourself, I am learning to speak Mandarin, then your brain opens up those pathways, so it makes it easier to soak in that information. Because just because you say it to yourself doesn't make it true, is basically what he's saying. So just because you say you're smart doesn't mean you're smart. You could be a big old dummy.
True.
So anyways, that's Jack and Flobo discussed.
Good everybody. Yeah, you're a big old dummy.
You're
Subscribe.
a big old dummy. Lots of stuff happened this week, and unfortunately, I want to start off with some terrible news. As everyone has been talking about the passing of Shad, who drowned, and just a sad story. I always liked the guy. I always liked the tag team Crime Time. Maybe it wasn't the most culturally sensitive tag team of all time, but I always liked him. I liked what he did whenever I saw him in acting. I'd always pop a little bit when I saw him in movies or something. Any words to say on this, Flobo? Any comments? Obviously, it's sad.
Oh, it definitely is sad and it's tragic. And a fellow Brooklynite, Shad Gaspard. It's interesting because when he left WWE, he was really one of those releases that kind of got forgotten about. And I don't mean in a bad way. It's just kind of like no one really was on top of mind. Like, when's CM Punk coming back? But through a mutual friend, Jonathan Bowles, a guy that runs Lapel, they go to the same gym. They used to go to the same Gold's Gym right there on Venice Beach, and they were always in talks of working together, and they did. back when Bullet Club shirts and parodies were all the rage. They had their own version of that, and there was going to be this Crime Time line of clothes under his banner. So I felt like I was seeing his post WWE future vicariously, and he had plans. He really did have plans of making the holy grail of your own brand of whatnot. But it's tragic loss to the wrestling world. At 39 years old, he's behind a wife and kid, and I mean it's going to sound pretty rough, but I'm kind of glad a body was recovered to give that family closure. But then it still is a difficult situation for all. Haywood Wong, how's it going, sir? Derek Fisher, what's up?
Yeah, it's I mean, I think it is terribly sad. I think it's such a testament to who he is that you hear the stories about how the last thing he did was save his son, which is, I think, if there's one thing you could ever do with your last moments, saving a family member has got to be about it. One thing I definitely want to make sure we chat about. Collar and Elbow is a company that is selling a T-shirt, Brooklyn's own Beast. It's a cool shirt. It's a gray shirt. All the proceeds are going to go to the family. So if you want to get a good shirt that's really cool looking and goes to help a good cause, check out Collar and Elbow. I know their Twitter handle is at CollarXElbow.
Yeah.
The link is pretty long, so I'm not going to read off a bunch of letters and things. But go to their Twitter account at CollarXElbow. You can get a really cool shirt and help out a really good cause there. And Flobo, you know me, I don't go endorsing T-shirts very often. This is a cool shirt. Go check it out. I'm just one of those guys. If it doesn't have a collar, what are you doing?
Right, because you're fancy, man. Shout out to Brooklyn, man. He really tried really hard when he was there to really bring back Gleason's Gym to its former glory. I don't want to speak for him, but our colleague Josh Tariff has a close connection to him as well. So and Collar and Elbow. So you have a chance. Please go out there and buy that shirt.
Yeah. We need to get a Brooklyn's own Flobo shirt going soon.
Would you buy that?
If it, I don't know. Depends on how it looks.
Fair enough.
I tried to get a Mayor Flobo shirt, but you denied me. So
I did not deny you. Dude,
I was like, man, I want to have one of those shirts so bad. What do I need to do to make this happen? And you were like, I don't know if you really fit our brand, Jack.
Can I tell you a story real quick? It's like super quick. So I was running for neighbor council last year, and I had shirts. And the idea was, if you donated, you got one. And Jack had the most generous donation. I won't disclose the amount, but Jack was far and away the most generous donation to my campaign. But he did it like 2 weeks after everybody else. So I was out of shirts. And so I was like, oh man, I'll get you one. I remember I have an extra one at the house. I go to the house. It's like 2 extra large. There's a coffee stain on the rim. I was like, total fail, bro. And I apologize for that. I'll make it up to you.
I was like, it's kind of like when someone's running for president, Flobo, and you like recently we saw this huge Democratic group of people. The Democrat Party had this huge group of people. You had Elizabeth Warren, you had Bernie Sanders, you had Joe Biden, and all of us are waiting. Well, who is Obama gonna back? Who's he gonna throw his support behind? Now he could have thrown his support behind someone a long time ago, but he waits and he waits till the end before he's like, that's the winner I'm gonna back, and that's what I did. Unfortunately, it didn't work.
Wait a minute. So Biden, if you're listening, you have no chance because that's the Jack Treasure. Wow.
So I'm just trying to compare myself to Barack Obama. I think that's fair. I think it's a fair comparison.
Yeah,
I'm very similar. We're very similar people. The
show's off the rails.
Speaking of shows going off the rails, I also want to touch base on one more unfortunate piece of news. And this is kind of an interesting thing to talk about. I didn't know if we were going to talk about it on the show, but this is kind of what the show's about. Jim Alexander was not on Monday Night Raw or the NXT After Show for AfterBuzz TV, and he's not going to be any longer. Some stuff happened. He's killed him off. No. He's still out there. Real Talker is still crushing out there. I think it's going to be great. He's going to have more time to focus on Real Talker because I think that's going places and he's doing some good stuff there.
Absolutely.
I'll lead with this because it's kind of a weird thing for us to talk about. I wasn't really happy with how AfterBuzz handled things, but Some comments got made on Twitter, and it now has ended with us not having Jim on the show. Uh, Anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, so I mentioned this a bit because I tried live streaming Raw this week, and we're not on AfterBuzz right now. And before I get into my comments, I want to say what I'm about to say just represents my opinions alone. If you're gonna clip this out and tag anyone, just know that this is Flobo Boyce, and he's talking, and I talk for everyone else. I did not like the way AfterBuzz handled the situation. If I could be completely honest and bold with you, is Jim abrasive? Yes. Do people hate him in the chat? Yes. Can he be construed as an asshole? Absolutely. The clip of our show got clipped out by a fan, which is cool. I like Forever Young. He's a good guy. He's in the chat sometimes. He's a good guy.
Yep.
But it was a take that Jim had for about a year, which means I don't understand why everyone's offended about it. But Johnny Gargano responded and compared Jim Alexander to his abs. Now, Jack, I don't know. This is kayfabe. I'm going to break kayfabe here, and say we at AfterBuzz don't get paid a whole lot to do this.
Fair.
More often than not, you would think we get paid millions or even dozens of thousands of dollars. It's not true. So when having a wrestler who is getting paid comment, it was one thing, and then X-Pac commented to that, tagged AfterBuzz and called Jim an epithet, which I don't like at all because X-Pac is also on the same network, and he basically called out a host on the same network using a swear word. AfterBuzz was caught in between. They made the decision to part everyone and go their separate ways. As a business, I get it, but I feel like if I was Jim Alexander, I would feel a little bit railroaded because it wasn't like Jim started the Jim Alexander show and said Gargano is a waste of skin. No, he just said Gargano's short, which is true. So again, it's probably best for all parties. It's a very complex issue. Everyone basically has their opinions on the situation. The chat blew up. They're happy. Looks that way at Jim is gone, but it's hopefully that it could be done and gone without it. Now, again, just to reiterate, that's my individual opinion. Don't tag AfterBuzz. Jack didn't have anything to do with this. This is what Flobo Boyce thinks.
Well, look, I mean, I'll jump right on there with you. I don't. I mean, I've said, look, I don't have. I love Forever Young. I think he's a cool dude. I agree. Jim's had that comment for. I mean, I would almost say Jim's character is not liking Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
It's almost that level. I don't think Jim said anything wrong in that video. I don't think Johnny Gargano did anything wrong by responding. To be fair, I don't think. I don't think it's his. I think if you say something and you get called out on it, fine. Where it stuck in my craw, what I wasn't happy about it is AfterBuzz is it's a network that embraces things like your opinion on things. They want us to give opinions, and I don't think Jim's opinion was out of line. It's a fair comment. I don't think when Colin Cowherd says that Russell Wilson is undersized for a quarterback, it is a thing that he should get taken off the air for. I don't think when you're talking about athleticism, someone's size comes up. Now, again, I think it's fair if someone comes back and attacks that. I don't like that AfterBuzz faulted Jim for having an opinion when the entire point of the show is to have an opinion. And it doesn't sit well with me either. I'm Team Jim on this one. I am really disappointed with how it played out. It's the way it is, though. Not really much I can do about it. But I agree. I'm someone who is always going to stick with the artist, with the entertainer, and I think Jim did a good job. I am Team Jim in this. It's unfortunate it happened. I think big things are going to happen for him either way.
I hope so too. And I always tell to people this. Jim and I started the same time, the same week. Where I think our host training was a week apart. So it is interesting how this is how it ends for someone that, as someone who moderates the show, and if you watch this live show on Monday, I'm writing notes the entire episode, like how you are in AEW.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for someone to have a personality, to be able to consistently come to work, because there's some hosts that don't. And to have
Yeah.
an opinion, polarizing or not, I felt that it was cool that I can be positive while this person can be negative. We get a balance of each other.
Hmm.
But I do think we have some good news because of that, because both shows, Raw and NXT, got some staff tweaks.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic. See, Flobo, that's why you're the champ. You got the transitions happening, and one of those staff tweaks was Leslie coming on to Monday, and she was just a ray of sunshine on that episode. I really enjoyed having her on. I thought she brought a lot of positivity, a lot of fun to the show. And I think it's going to breathe some new life having her on the show. Did you like, as the moderator, did you like bringing her on?
Yeah, Leslie Colon, if you guys are not familiar, she does the Bellas, uh, Total Bellas, yeah,
Hmm.
and Raw en Espanol, which is currently on hiatus. Totally knowledgeable, fan of the San Diego culture when it comes to the appreciation of both styles of American and luchador wrestling. Always wants to do big things, and she's a super fan in the best possible way. So it was really good and she's not afraid to bite back or say you're wrong or say, hold on, you guys forgot about this. So
Hmm.
quickly becoming a favorite.
Yeah, I think she's going to be great. Again, just to reiterate, hope everything is good with Jim going forward. Check out Real Talker, support the homie, but also really excited to see Leslie a bit more. She's been sort of the under one of the low key rising stars, as we call them, around our parts. Speaking of
Professora.
rising stars, speaking of rising stars, you are rising as a star as well. You were on a show with the WWE's own Evan Mack from the Bump. You guys did a show called the Everything Tournament. Before we
Yeah.
dive into what this is all about, tell us what it's all about.
I had no idea until the day of. But Evan had this idea knocking around apparently that he wanted to do a giant tournament that would pit aspects of pop culture against each other. And it didn't matter what it was. It was food, movies, music, cartoon characters, childhood crushes in this hodgepodge mismatch tournament where we take a side and we argue our points, and either someone in the live Twitch chat or the moderator, which is kind of unfair that it's his wife, having a decided vote on what moves forward. So it was pretty
Yeah.
fun. It came at me pretty quickly. I didn't quite understand it until the day of, but it was a lot of fun.
So tell me, just give us just a quick little sneak peek. Now I have the bracket up that you guys posted right now,
Yeah.
but to give people an example of some of the stuff you guys chatted about, what were one of the matchups that you found particularly interesting?
So there were two big matchups that had a lot of drag out fighting. There was one about soft drinks, Coke against Red Bull, which
Hmm.
I was Team Red Bull because at least I want some wings here and there, baby. But Coke moves forward. Now we have one veto. We can block an advancing thing besides the finals, of course. But I have to hold it. I can only use it once, so I didn't want to, just force in Red Bull and have it lose in the second round. And the other one
Yeah.
was chocolate chip cookies versus donuts, and I won on the best technicality on the planet because chocolate chip cookie is pretty specific. Sometimes I want sugar. Sometimes I want macadamia nut. But donuts always fulfill.
Mm.
So Evan's mad about the whole idea about that with donuts moving on. And I'm not too jazzed about Coke beating Red Bull. And those two we fought about the most.
I love this idea. As you know, I'm a huge fan of tournaments and bracketology. Feel a bit slighted that the king of jacketology wasn't consulted in this, but I'm okay. I'm happy. I'm more mad about something else, Flobo. Something else. I'm looking at this. And it stood out to me. And I'm disappointed you didn't bring it up. I'm disappointed Evan didn't bring it up. I'm disappointed Heidi didn't bring it up. How can you have a tournament about the best everything and not have the X-Men animated series opening theme song in this tournament? That is a complete snub.
It's absolutely true. So he had only one category for best cartoon, and I was like, man, there's a lot of them. I chose Animaniacs to
Mm-hmm.
counter program the superhero Batman the animated series. But yeah, if there was a room for a third, or theme songs, or things that make you hype as a kid, it will be either Mountain Dew or the X-Men theme song. Those two will get you hyper as heck.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
I'm not even talking about the show. I'm talking about that guitar riff theme song.
Hell yeah. So yeah, I didn't know. So that day he was like, "Hey man, here's the categories. Give me one of each." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I did it, and he's like, "All right, welcome to the show. We're doing this right now." I was like, "Oh no!" And he went, and Haywood Wong said it too. Mac was on fire. He went full Evan. So I'm like, "Yo, if he's being a super heavyweight, I gotta be a super heavyweight too." And we fought the entire hour. Next episode is going to be Tuesday afternoon on the West Coast, evening on the East Coast, as we move on the tournament. But it was a lot of fun.
So, and this is on Twitch. Now, I'm not on Twitch because I'm an old man that doesn't understand technology. What, how can they find you? Where, is it just go to, at Cocosina on Twitch?
Yeah, it's twitch.tv/Cocosina. It's public to view. You don't need an account. But, Jack, since it's owned by Amazon, if you have an Amazon account, you can log into Twitch anyway, so you can comment and say stuff and vote. But yeah,
I'm going to have to go check it out.
The live shows on Twitch at Cocosina, I upload a copy of that to my YouTube page. So if you guys are on it right now, you can go back and see Tuesday's episode right here on YouTube.
Well, I am, if I was a part of this chat, and I'm definitely not, but if I was a part of this chat, I would say that the winner needs to be Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell needs to go all the way. That's my pick. Looking forward.
Kurt Russell versus Donuts in the finals. I'm calling it.
Yeah, anyone with the hair like Kurt Russell deserves more attention. So we've been chatting already for 20 minutes. We haven't even gotten into the goings on of today with pro wrestling. And we've got a big show coming up on Saturday. It is AEW Double or Nothing. And I think this is supposed to be their biggest show of the years. This is their WrestleMania, I believe they always say. I personally feel like All Out should be their WrestleMania, but what do I know? I'm
not a full gear guy?
No. I hate the name.
No.
I like the show. I liked what they did, but Full Gear doesn't sound like a cool, this is the biggest show of the year. I don't like Double or Nothing because Double or Nothing feels like it should have been a one-time name, personally. Because it went with all in, and then Double or Nothing sounded cool.
Right.
But Double or Nothing 2 sounds weird. Shouldn't it be Triple or Nothing? Quadruple or Nothing?
The pit boss sir, you have to leave. Quintuple or Nothing.
Yeah.
My whole house. I wish All In came back. I think All In has a very final, they're bound for glory, All In.
Yeah, All In. I liked it, and then changed it to All Out for their next one. I know that's kind of a cool way, to keep it going, but all their pay-per-view names, I think, sound cool, but they always sound like names that you would only use once. They don't really do that in WWE anymore. But, they used to have those names where it was St. Valentine's Day Massacre and things like that you use once and then you move on. And I liked those. These names feel like they're use it once and then you give it a different name.
All those in your houses, forward. Right? Beware of Dog. Well,
Beware
Bad Blood got used, but Beware of Dog and Rock Bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, some of those names, I forget some of those names, and you hear some of them and you're like, that was the name of a pay-per-view?
No shame, bro.
Anyways, as I've watched multiple spring stampedes, I'm making fun.
Dude, I if they bring back Slamboree before I become an old man, I'll be happy. I don't care if it's AEW or WWE. I want my Slamboree back.
I like the name Slamboree, but it sounds like it's more of a special, a Raw special episode, when they do flashback Raws or whatever. I think Raw Slamboree would be something they do every year at the beginning of baseball season. It's sort of a fun themed episode more than a main show.
The Bash.
We need to have a best name show question one at a time. Best pay-per-view name.
Is this a bracket?
I love brackets. I love jacketology as it is when I'm a part of it. But let's talk about the show. Let's talk about Double or Nothing. It's predictions. People want to know who is going to win what. So let's start. We've got. We'll start with from the beginning and work our way forward. Private Party taking on the Best Friends. Number one contendership for the tag team titles is on the line. Who do you got winning this one, Flobo?
These two teams are so good, but I haven't seen them consistently, right? So I don't know what their form is. On paper, I think the Best Friends put in the work more recently, so to give them the edge. But Private Party are an excited team. I don't know, bro. I would counter program the Street Profits and Raw with having the Best Friends go over.
I think Best Friends have to win here because they've been putting in the work during this time of quarantine, and I think you've got to reward them for that. You got to give them something. I think Private Party is cool, but it's weird when teams are gone for a long time and then just come back and win a number one contenders match. I think that would negate everything Best Friends have been doing over the past few weeks.
Negate? What if they were gone training? You don't know that. They're just in the club, just like, ah.
It would be funny if one of them just came back jacked, massive, like, built like Scott Steiner and
right. Frankenstein. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't that be disappointing? Imagine if you're in a tag team and like your buddy comes back from quarantine just shredded, but like you gained weight.
Right. It's like maple cookies. Oh, yes. I'll take you in, bro.
Then we had a pretty random match announced just last night. Dustin Rhodes versus Shawn Spears. Now they've teased it a little bit because Shawn Spears has been taking shots at the Rhodes family. But compared to other matches, this feels a little thrown together. Shawn Spears versus Dustin Rhodes.
I guess Shawn Spears, man, but we talked about this before with Spears or Ty Dillinger, and he was so great before. Mm-hmm. He's a bad guy. He's an antagonist. He's ruthless. He's mean, but he doesn't quite seem like a threat, man. He kind of seems like a henchman to somebody else. So he may win, but I'm not gonna be too jazzed about it.
Yeah, I think he's gonna win just because they did a weird thing where like Dustin Rhodes said if he loses a match, he's gonna retire. He won that match, but then he lost the next match. But then it was like implied that he retired, but then he's coming back to face Shawn Spears. I don't really get what that is, but I think this is them trying to get Shawn Spears up and running again. I just don't buy him as a guy I'm supposed to not like. He seems so likable, and every time he does something villainous, he feels like he does it with a little like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like look at me, I'm doing something mean.
I'm the chairman.
It reminds me. He kind of reminds me of when you're watching your little cousin or something, and you're acting a certain way to it's like when you're like wrestling with your cousin and you're just trying to be like, oh, I'm a bad guy, I'm being a jerk, but you're really just being friendly. I don't know if that makes sense.
Doesn't hit home.
But it feels like he's playing the character instead of being the character. I like him too. Like let's just let me like the people that are good people. Speaking of people who are good
That's
people,
profound, man.
Dr. Britt Baker is taking on Chris Statlander. I think these two are great women wrestlers. AEW gets a lot of flack for not having a women's division, but I think these two are awesome. I'll take this one. I think Britt Baker's going to win because she seems to be just killing it right now in the promo world. What do you think about these two?
They're both on a collision course, and it sucks that someone has to lose here, but I have to give the Chris Statlander again. Only because if Britt Baker goes over, I mean, she'll be like, rankings aside, the most prolific women's wrestler that doesn't have the championship, which doesn't matter, but the champion is technically still a heel. So, and I do think Nyla Rose is going to retain. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. So if she does retain, she needs someone else. That has to be another go around with Chris Statlander, I think.
That makes sense. I think that makes sense. I disagree, though. I think Britt Baker has to win here. I think if she loses, it undermines everything she's been doing. And, I mean, I think what you're saying makes sense, and it's probably the right answer, but I'm just going to go with Britt Baker. Why not? I can do what I want. It's my show. Then we got MJF versus Jungle Boy. I don't think Jungle Boy stands a chance.
Wasn't this guy like the number one contender a couple months ago? Like, what? What happened?
He wasn't really the number one contender. It was just Jericho giving him a shot because he didn't think he was dangerous.
Yeah, I'm with you. MJF yeah.
Yeah, I think Jungle Boy will get his time, but if Jungle Boy beats MJF, that's going to be a real like head scratcher that you build MJF up as undefeated this whole time, only to lose to a guy who's in a tag team that is up and down.
Yeah.
We also got the Casino Ladder match for an AEW World Championship shot. Now, first off, before we talk about the competitors, this feels like it's a knockoff of Money in the Bank. Are you okay with them not just copying the idea?
Yeah, sure, whatever, man. Everyone copies everyone else. You know,
I I agree.
yeah, the whole performance center, changing the camera angle was definitely an AEW idea, so I'm here for it. The match sounds all right. Not
Yeah.
too offended by it.
Yeah. So and I now they haven't said it's whenever you want. So I think it's just going to be a number one contendership thing. So I think that whole angle is not going to be a part of it. But we have in the match we've got Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Rey Fenix, Scorpio Sky, Kip Sabian, Frankie Kazarian, Luchasaurus, and Mystery Competitor. I feel like the real guess should be, is it Mystery Competitor or anybody else?
Yeah.
It pretty much. Let me ask you this: the Mystery Competitor thing adds a lot of intrigue to this match, but does it kind of spoil it too? Like, the Mystery Competitor's got to win, right?
I think so. Unless it's like a super legend or something that takes somebody out and they have their own little side feud after the match. But yeah, it kind of spoils it. And as much as I want Luchasaurus and Moxley as individuals in a match, like their bodies, I don't think I would ever see a Luchasaurus take on John Moxley world title match. It would be serious.
I think they could, but they've got to do some work to get there because he's been just kind of a comedy character so far. But I agree. I think I would love to see them just tear a building down, fighting it out. Darby Allin would be fun to see too. I think it's got to be a mystery opponent, whoever it is. Do you have any predictions on who you think it could be in this mystery spot?
It maybe Lance Archer. I really feel he'll get himself involved in that one too. Even though his own storyline is happening right now, but I do think that he has a chance to be the guy to upend what we think is the norm here on AEW.
Do you think it's possible that they'll make him a double champion and just champion of both?
Yes. Because what value? Huh?
Is that your long term? You think they're going to get rid of the TNT title? Do you think they're going to give it to him and then he's just going to basically delete it by merging them together and then get back to where they were?
I would love a second championship, no doubt in my mind, but you haven't convinced me that this is not a placeholder. This is the interim cruiserweight title of AEW. You haven't convinced me otherwise, so.
Well, how do they do that? I mean, they haven't even given it to anybody yet. How can they prove that it's anything more?
The name sounds a bit generic. The championship brackets were kind of uneven. It seemed like we had an idea of who it was going to be. It wasn't the case because I saw your bracket wasn't perfect. But still, I wanted.
I don't know what part I got wrong. I mean, there's a few asterisks in there, but other than that.
Oh man, we got a thing in the chat. Sam Pitboon says it's Brian Cage. What?
I would love for it to be Brian Cage. I'm a huge fan of him, but I became a fan of him in Lucha Underground when when he first debuted as a machine. I think he's been doing that for a long time, but that's when I first came across.
I feel like I'm an old man. I first saw Brian Cage tag with Sean Ricker. That's his technical. What's his name now? Eli Drake. I saw Brian Cage tag with Eli Drake back in 2001 as Natural Selection, and they were a fact of life. And of course Ricker had all the Drake had all the words and he was on the mic and Cage had a little mushroom bowl cut and I was like, these guys look solid, but they're going nowhere. And like 10 years later, the biggest acts in wrestling. I'm not with that.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I would like to see that. Some people think Drew Gulak is a name that's floating around a little bit. Some other names are floating around, or any of the many people who have been released lately. I don't think any of them, though, because there's the 90-day non-compete clause. So, which is always weird to me that people follow that. They're so non-competes are completely unenforceable. I don't get why that's a thing.
They're enforceable in Connecticut, which are where most contracts are signed. They're not enforceable in California. That I know. But then there's the idea of I can cut you out. Like Sami Callihan, he said, I want to fight right now. I'm going to forfeit that 33 months of salary to do that. That's the exchange.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm surprised more people don't do that. Like,
Fair.
I feel like because if I'm one of the guys that got released recently, right? If I'm, let's say, EC3 and I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to do something right now, I'd just be like, AEW, just pay me what I'd lose from WWE, and let's do this right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would, and then you get the shock, surprise. Oh my God, they're here right now. I just build that into the contract. Give me a signing bonus. Done. Poof.
Oh, it's
Jack.
that easy. Give me a signing bonus after Buzz.
Agent for the wrestlers here. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but let's just go for it.
Oh.
So I want to see EC3 doing some interesting things on social media. By the way, kind of acting like a person that's trying to help all the other people that got released and telling them to sort of go for their own ways. It's interesting. Matt Hardy and the Elite versus the Inner Circle in a stadium stampede match. I don't really know exactly how this is going to play out. It's going to be at the Jaguars Stadium.
The what stadium?
The Jaguars Stadium. I always get made fun of because I say Jaguar, and that's not the way to say it, but that's how I say it. Jaguar Stadium. It's going to be a ring in the middle of the stadium, and then they're going to fight it out. I think this is going to be a cinematic match, which AEW's only done one. I wasn't a huge fan of it personally. So I don't really know what to expect from this. I have a feeling that Inner Circle has to win this one.
I think they kind of do. I'm not gonna say they need the heat because they still are the major heel faction or whatever. But when you're making these promo packages for their next matches and showing how ruthless they are, they need new footage. That's basically what you need. I don't think they necessarily win or lose, but there has to be one of those like blood and guts matches, you know?
Yeah, they just kind of dropped the blood and guts thing. I think they're definitely waiting for a live crowd for that. Because if they lose,
awesome.
then there's no like. I feel like I don't know. I feel like what do you like? Okay, you guys are chumps.
Right.
I don't really know where you can go from there. So the what's the word I'm looking for here? Or what I was gonna say? Oh, why is it? This has always been interesting to me in wrestling. Why is it the bad guys always seem to have a ton of friends that are there to help them out through thick or thin, and the good guys who are supposed to be lovable are always on their own? And when they get beat up, no one wants to come help them. No one's there by their side. I mean, if Jericho, who's supposed to be a jerk, gets attacked, every friend he has comes running down the ring to help him. But when, Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, is getting beat up by MJF and Wardlow, Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt are nowhere to be found.
They're rooting for him backstage.
Why is these jerks always have a bunch of friends, but the friendly guys they're supposed to like are total losers and no one wants to help them?
No idea, man. They're backstage like, oh, you can do it, man. Get up. Oh, God. Oh.
So you're a writer. How do you not, like, you gotta know a story reason for this, right? Like, why?
It has to be fighting spirit, man. It has to be like, this guy can do it. He wants a fair fight because he can do it. He believes in himself. I believe in him. Slay your own dragons. And then the rest are like gang mentality.
So speaking of slaying your own dragons, Hikaru Shida is taking on Nyla Rose in a no DQ, no count out match. Who wins?
Sucks. It sucks. Because
I
like Shida. She's my favorite AEW wrestler right now, but she's awfully getting fed to Nia. Or Nyla, not Nia. Nyla.
A lot of people say Nia Rose too, I think, because the Nia Jax comparison. But it's funny. I think you're right, and I think they need to give Nyla Rose some wins because they can't just have her they can't flip the title that quickly. But it does feel like the person who should be champion right now is Shida. She's felt like the champion for months before the empty arenas. She's just felt like the champion. She's been beating everybody. She's kind of presented like she's the champion. I've said it before, I feel like AEW, they went to the women's division with a vision, and the vision just didn't click. Right. And they've been trying to get themselves out of it without being too obvious about the transition. But it's kind of getting to a point where it's like, let's just make Shida the champion and let us have the women's division the way we want it. I'm going to say Shida wins. I think Shida can do it, though. I think they're going to make that transition there. We got Cody Rhodes, Lance Archer for the AEW TNT title. You kind of tipped your hand. You think Archer's winning this one?
Well, again, you asked me about double champions. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? The idea of Cody not being able to go for the world title and getting the secondary title makes a lot of sense, but really that will be kind of cheap because then it'll be back. The reason why he did that was he didn't want people to say he's booking himself to be a champion, but if he gets that second consolation prize workaround, that will be the same result. He'd be like, oh, that's pretty clever. So I could see him give Lance getting it.
Yeah, I would also love to see Cody as someone almost like dating myself here a little bit, but Tommy Dreamer back in the ECW days, where he was like the heart and soul of ECW, but he was never the champion. And then after, not until like near the end days of ECW, he gets it, but then he loses it same night, for instance.
Right.
I think there'd be something poetic about Cody never being able to actually be a champion that I would love to see play out. I kind of think Cody Rhodes wins, though, just because I think there's going to be a lot of villains winning, and you're going to need a feel-good win at this show. And I think that's going to be it. I also it wouldn't shock me if this title ends up going away after crowds come back as well. It does feel a little bit like the interim Cruiserweight Championship. Yeah. We're trying to fill time with what we have. And then we get to the final match, Brody Lee versus Jon Moxley for the title. Who's winning?
Can I say no contest?
There's not been a single no contest in AEW so far.
Yeah, it's only been time limit draws, right?
Time limit draws, yeah.
Moxley, man.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, it has to be. And it sucks, too, because, like, Brody was pretty much hot-shotted there because there really wasn't a challenger. But then if Brody takes it and the Dark Order take it, it's great for Brody Lee, but what is the Dark Order then? Is it supposed to be the new Inner Circle? Is that the new antagonist? Why would Jericho let that go? And that's a whole other issue altogether. So it just makes storyline telling a lot easier if Jon Moxley was still champ.
Was it the right call to put him to give Brody Lee the shot, or do you think they should have just had someone else fill that role and just had Moxley face, I don't know, Jake Hager? Maybe say that Jake Hager match, or maybe give him just a one-off throwaway match against Luchasaurus or something like that.
If that first Jake Hager match wasn't as difficult to watch, I think he would have a rematch for the stipulation. This time it's personal, but I really think that was inaudible to have the Dark Order be like the number. I mean, to me, I get it. Like, he's the biggest guy. He's a bad guy, a bad dude. Wants him to get beat, but it just seems like there's two different sides of the show. That they are kind of like trying to meld together for this epic matchup, and it's not quite hitting home yet. But yeah, I wouldn't go. If I was the fantasy booker, hey Hager, take a beat, refresh yourself. We might use you later. We're good.
Yeah, I think that the Dark Order will be AEW's biggest loss to the empty arena situation. I think I don't think that the Dark Order is going to survive this whole thing. I think because losing Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, who were the heart and soul of the Dark Order, I guess if you could say that, during this whole time, and then Brody Lee coming in and kind of changing direction, but then also going against Moxley. I think Moxley's going to beat him. I think Brody Lee's going to lose, and his next battle is going to be the disintegration of the Dark Order, because it doesn't. I feel like they've they're cashing in their chips on this match, personally.
Question from the chat. Derek Fisher asks, would you guys be down to see NXT versus AEW storyline like the old days of the invasion?
On paper, yeah, but every time they've done something like that, it's been terrible. So
fair.
It's never really played out. I mean, in a perfect world, yeah, I would love to see it though, right? Like, unless means like an NWO thing where they start doing here are all the former WWE guys joining together on AEW to invade or something. But
yeah,
on paper, I'd love it. Yeah. That
It'd be a
could be
big
great.
conspiracy. Was AEW the whole time a part of WWE?
Oh yeah, yeah. How funny would that be if that was true? It's not,
Mm-hmm.
but it'd be a great fun story. So that's our predictions. Went a little bit longer than I wanted to. Just about everything I talk about does. But let's dive into some questions. We got some questions. Haywood Wong, keeping this show afloat, asks first. Asks first. Favorite best via Twitter. He asks best live band intro to the ring that you can remember.
Ask me
Flobo, you
first.
take it. Yeah, I'll take it. Well,
Cool.
to pull the curtain back, we both said the same thing. So I'll let you go first, and then I'll give my back. Actually, I'll give the backup because you're that we both wanted the one you're about to say. So that's kind of like the actual winner. I'd say so. I'd say the runner up, 3 6 Mafia. I think was great. I think that song is cool. I think the
Whoa.
performance was cool. As you
Whoa.
said, it's kind of like a good gym song too.
Mark
So that's
Henry.
my pick.
Fair enough. Uh, if I could be honest with everyone out there, I'm not a huge fan of bands performing wrestlers' theme songs.
Hmm.
Performances at pay-per-views are fine, but when a person comes out and they actually perform the song that doesn't sound the same, usually they don't. The performing band doesn't get it, and they think the show's
Hmm.
about them, and then the wrestler
Yeah.
has to come out and like look badass, but like find a way to thank them, but still be in character. It's just awkward. But that
Yeah.
said, hands down my favorite, and I guess your favorite too, Jack.
Hmm.
NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2, Lee England Jr. and his violin solo for Shinsuke Nakamura. Having everyone sing along, having the intro, having him like. I play that song sometimes when I'm just like walking down the street at night. When the
Yeah.
sun's hitting the night golden hour, like it's a dope song. So that's definitely my choice.
That's one of those songs that, if I'm honest, if I heard it first just by itself, I'd be like, I don't know about this. But then when you hear it in the arena, you're like, oh, this is sick.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, there's a
it's the
there's a
same thing
super
with,
cut on YouTube that put like that hit Lee England's intro with the original Shinsuke Nakamura theme with the rock chorus, and it's
yeah,
phenomenal.
that's I gotta check that out. But that's how, honestly, how I felt about Jericho's theme song in AEW. Like just hearing it, like if you listen to it on Spotify at first, you're just kind of like, eh. But then
Yeah,
when you hear it in the arena and like everyone's singing along, you're like, oh, this is sick. This
yeah.
this totally works.
Also, I
So
learned this week it was a theme song to NXT Takeover Chicago. I did that for the show this week. I was like, wait a minute. It's like special thanks to Fozzy for your theme song. Like, ooh, resonated well.
Ooh. That is funny. So he also asked another question. He got it in right before the start of the show. Says since we might get Gargano and Candice LeRae versus Keith Lee and Mia Yim, would you? He said, would you allow it to be an intergender match? I think he's asking, would you like it to be an intergender match, or how are your thoughts if they had that? Would you like to see it be kind of like the mixed match challenge where it's guy versus guy, girl versus girl? Would you like to see the intergenders mix it up? What do you think?
Um, yeah. Look, it's gonna be at least a mixed tag. That goes without saying. Intergender wrestling, I'm a fan of, but only at the independent level. The WWE cannot figure out that kind of matches, and I know everyone says, "Well, whoa, women can go as hard as the guys." Not saying that. We know this already. We saw women's Royal Rumbles and Evolution pay-per-views. The problem with the WWE is that they're a family product. And you're like, okay, what's the big deal? Well, on the independent circuit, there's not much time for character development because most independent shows run once a month, twice a month, maybe. So when you're booked, you're supposed to do all the moves. And what happens because of that, you're getting these very high, impactful, like fight forever matches.
Hmm.
Candice LeRae can go. I'm not saying that. But the WWE style, if there isn't a schmaz ending, is very decisive. Winner wins and losers lose. If you can convince me and the sponsors, Snickers and Liberty Mutual Insurance and Progressive Car Insurance, that a woman can get on the losing end of a 3-minute squash match to a man, then sure. But until you do that, until you have someone like Nia Jax come out and get absolutely demolished by a Sheamus, then we can't. There's no discussion. Will NXT do it? That's the one brand I think they can experiment with it. But it's a very, very different beast with the WWE for these times of matches.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. It's one thing what I want to see versus would WWE ever do it. I'm a big fan of intergender wrestling. I think they should do it. I think they should push it. To your point, I think you should check out Mil Muertes versus Ivelisse in Lucha Underground because they had a Hard Knocks match themselves. But when you hit the nail on the head, sponsors, things like that, there's way more to it than just would we like to see it. Because I think, too, I don't know. I can totally see why sponsors wouldn't want to do it. And I can see why some fans, I mean, I don't know. Could I really believe that someone as small as Johnny Gargano could take on Mia Yim? I don't think so. But
Yeah.
No. In all seriousness, though, I like it. I think it's fine. But yeah, the WWE, and this is where a lot of fans I think miss with the WWE and their predictions and what they want. The WWE is a business first, and they make their money on sponsors, and you got to be sensitive to those things. So I don't think it'll happen.
Speaking of sponsors, I sure do love the smart button. I got my smart button order in this. I'm just kidding. Where's the smart button, Jack?
Smart button?
That's the one.
From smartbutton.com?
Yeah.
Man, I can't tell you how much joy this has brought to my life. And it all started by going to smartbutton.com and purchasing my own. This guy, I'll tell you what, sometimes I'm hanging around the house. Sometimes I say something, I think it's funny, and I need to hear a crowd react. All I do is I hit this little button. And then suddenly I have the power of positivity behind me saying things like, "You are awesome." And I'm like, I am awesome. And I feel better. Like it's also great when you're like, trying to work out, you're at home doing your, prison workout, as we call it. You're doing your push-ups. And it's like, this is awesome. And I'm like, yeah, that's so cool. And they're like, now I'm going to go for a long, boring jog. And you hit it again. It's like, boring. And you're like, okay.
Wow.
So, as I always say, do yourself a favor. Visit smartbutton.com and buy yours today. Tell them Jack sent you. Tell them Flobo sent you while you're at it. Smartbutton.com. Our sponsor.
Yeah. Selling out. Love
it. Speaking of selling out, we got a question, and this is from it's from Haywood, but he mentioned Busted Open Wit Radio asked Mark Henry his top 10 wrestlers. And he had Flair, Rock, Dusty Rhodes, Hogan, Austin, Piper, DiBiase, Randy Savage, Jake the Snake, Chris Jericho as his top 10. Who are your top 10?
Woo! Give me a second. I actually wrote this down on a list because there's so many wrestlers to talk about. It's hard to pin down. Everyone knows me, knows I like the art and science of wrestling. I like characters and expressions. So having lists really ticked me off. But as I became a AfterBuzz host, I made 2 lists to shut everybody up. So here's my top 10.
Me, because I'd bug you about it all the time.
All the time. So I have a list of favorite wrestlers we won't go into because that's a whole other beast. But the top 10 best wrestlers of all time, I have, in order, number 1, Undertaker, The Rock, Ric Flair, Kurt Angle with an asterisk, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, John Cena, Chris Jericho, and Sting. And the reason why Kurt Angle has an asterisk at 4 is that Hogan would be in that 4 spot, but, racism.
Yeah, and you know what? I think just because your list has an asterisk doesn't mean it's not a great list. And
no, don't do that. Don't do that. Stop. We should all praise asterisks, man.
I think, but basically what I'm saying is just because there's an asterisk doesn't mean it's not true.
Yeah, okay. I'll take that, I think.
So I'm perfect with an asterisk, so we both agree that I'm perfect with an asterisk.
Sure, yeah.
Just for quick, and we're hitting that hour mark, so I got to wrap this up. But my top 10 goes Flair, and I put him just so everyone knows why. I put him because I think he's done it over multiple decades. He's done it in multiple companies, in different types of companies, meaning he's gone from the regional scene. He's gone from the TV scene. He's done it all, and it's always been great, and it's always worked, and that's why he's number one. But Flair, then I go Undertaker, then I go Hogan, then I go Cena, then I go Triple H, then I go Shawn Michaels, then I go Sting, Stone Cold, The Rock, and I end with Jericho. Sometimes I flip-flop that with Randy Orton. So Randy Orton's number 11 right now. And then it's Macho Man, for anyone who wonders. And I can keep going from there. But now it's a living and breathing list. Some of those kind of like shift around a little bit. But personally, for me, The Rock and Stone Cold aren't as high up because they weren't at the top for as long as some of those other guys were. I think when you're splitting hairs this way, that's why they're that far down. I want to talk real quick about Sting, though, because you had mentioned how Sting should be higher ranked in passing recently. I think it was in text. But I always say if WCW won the Monday Night Wars, Flobo, we would look at Sting the way we look at The Undertaker today.
Absolutely. That's the reason.
But because it flipped the other way, that's the only reason we don't give Sting more credit.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of the end of his career was a mystique of being like, when's he working for Vince? Like it was the only major circuit. But a lot of reasons why you pick Flair is why I think Sting should be in that list. It's just longevity, trying to always evolve his character. Granted, his rate of success with that wasn't as good as Undertaker. I felt like Undertaker hardly missed when it came to reinventing his character, even in hindsight, because American Badass was a failure at first, or it was cool for a pop, and it kind of wavered and got good. No one's asking for Joker Sting, for example, but I think it takes a lot to find a way to treat that character in so many different promotions to keep yourself relevant to the point where you can come to a promotion at 51 and it still is, oh my God, it's Sting! As opposed to being like, oh yeah, Goldberg's back. No offense to Goldberg.
Hey, Goldberg is easily on a top 100 list somewhere. By the way, Brock Lesnar is sneakily gone up my list. I know I get a lot of heat for being a huge Brock Lesnar fan, but he has actually.
You get a heat for using Brock puns like Brock Flock and Broccoli Leader or whatever it is.
The head of the Brock flock. I'm the
that. Stop.
The head broccoli in charge.
Stop.
HBIC.
See.
So, anyways, real quick question about the list though. You said you made a favorite list and you made a all-time list. Which list was harder?
All time.
You think so?
It's like in hip hop. In hip hop they always say top 5. Even in that Chris Rock movie, Top 5, there's this whole thing, like what's considered top 5. Number of hits, influencing others, longevity, writing for other people. Like, there's just so many factors to say what's the best,
It's all of it. That's
my favorites are my favorites. I can't argue that. If I like D'Lo Brown, and he's the best wrestler ever, he's the best wrestler ever.
Yeah, but you don't get hung up on, where you were in your life when you liked them versus...
Nope. No, here's why. Here's why. Because for me, as a lifelong wrestling fan,
Haywood, how dare you?
I'm a firm believer that wrestling was always there for me. So, I never wavered away from it. So even though I may like Tatanka, he's my top 5. That says a lot that I was able to latch on. My experiences in life were tied to that. My favorite day in my life doesn't change because something else happened later. It's still,
Interesting. So that does it for our wrestling chat today. I do have a question I want to ask, though, from Amy, who asks a music question. You talked about hip-hop and top 5s and things. What music are you guys listening to right now? And what are your favorite music artists, genre of music, etc.? She didn't add etc., but...
Amy with the dope questions. So if you have Sirius Radio, I'll tell this a lot of my DJ clients, my favorite channel is... Globalization, which mixes a lot of hip-hop, pop, Latin pop, reggaeton, some of the dance hits from the 70s and 80s, kind of like a old school blend. It's literally called Pitbull's Globalization, but everyone just hears Pitbull and go, oh, Pitbull. But it's more than that. I like that mix, that up-tempo, that light EDM, the poolside music, if you will. That's what I like. My Spotify artist, meaning the one I'm willing to put the radio on and be like, woo, it's French Montana. I like the way he's smooth with it. Ain't the most
Yeah.
like hypest rapper, but I like him a lot. And then wrestling themes, legit. I do listen to wrestling themes right now. That Godsmack, Legends Rise. What?
Legends Rise. Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, definitely the new French Montana. And then I've been getting into this guy, which you're gonna laugh at me for, because it's so weird. Isaac App, who is that one of that new class of rappers, like all that stuff. The reason why, because he's a professional Rocket League broadcaster who raps on the side.
Okay.
And I was like, that is the most ridiculous. I've heard worse. All right. And of course, me, I guess. I've been listening to my song, mastering it next month. My first comedy single, Alone in the Club, is going to be available wherever you stream all your audio stuff. So that too.
Well, yeah, Flobo is actually my favorite musical artist. That's what I listen to, and that's who I've been listening a lot of lately. I have I'm one of those losers with, like, I like everything when it comes to music. So, but growing up, I was really into punk rock, and I've been in a real nostalgic mode lately. So I've been listening to old punk rock music that I think if I found it today, I'd be like, this is terrible. But because I am, because it like is nostalgic to me, it like brings back memories, if that makes sense.
It's the opposite of wrestling, because I was in a huge pop punk playing Crazy Taxi. When I was playing that game, I was all about like Bad Religion and like the Offspring, and then now I'm like, this is so 17-year-old me. What was I on? What?
The Offspring. Like, I love their song from that game. The
All I Want.
Like All I Want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I've been listening to a lot of that lately, just because it has, like I said, it has that nostalgic feeling. Like, oh man, it's like back from like. It reminds me of being younger and you know what was going on in those days. It kind of takes me back, which has been kind of fun. But like I said, today I think if I was listening to that, I'd be like, I don't know about all this if I found it today. But I would say today, believe it or not, I'm kind of like I'm a hip hop fan. I like hip hop. I like anything that has. I like lyrical hip hop, like with like good lyrics and things like that. And so I tend to like those kind of that kind of hip hop the most.
Jack hates Migos, confirmed.
I hate Migos. I'm not a big Migos fan. I'll be honest. I've never been. Cause they're like, they just say random words. It's I don't get it. But it's like
I'm
they
in
put
the
the dictionary.
What? I'm gonna fluck it. What? I feel like my dad. You know, like
Go
turn on that noise.
See my mom in tears. Like,
yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, there's a great episode of South Park where one of them starts growing up and they say everything sounds like I don't know if we're explicit free or not, but everything sounds like poop. And so of course it's South Park, so whenever he sees things, it's literal poop. But it's like he tries to listen to the new musical artist and it just sounds like.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like the SNL sketch. I don't know if you watched it, Friendos. Did you tell me about that one? I forgot if you put me onto that one, because I don't watch SNL. But there's Friendos. There was like I think they had was it not Tyga? Had not YG. Had one of those guys on it, and the skit was like they're like Migos, but like they're rapping about their intellectual and mental problems, and it cuts to them in therapy. It was called Friendos. If you guys ever check it out, and he's like, I'm just saying, all you want to do is rap about cars and stuff, man. You know, I want to feel heard. What? You know, I want to feel heard.
I want to feel heard.
It's just weird, dude. Actually, it made me laugh, which is rare for SNL. But check it out.
I'm not too big on SNL these days either. But that's really it for us. We hit the hour mark. I'm trying to be good about staying on top of the hour, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for being on the show, Flobo, as always. Any parting words? Anything to sell? Anything to plug?
Anything to plug? Yo, look, patreon.com/Flobo Boyce. Here is the deal. I am making my first ever comedy musical song. I'm laying out the entire process from concept to completion. It's coming out next month for everyone else. But if you sign up for Patreon, you get to see me recording it and get the song a couple days early, exclusively for patrons. So please, patreon.com/Flobo Boyce.
I love it. Definitely check that out. Also, make sure to check out the Everything Tournament. I love that kind of stuff. I think it's fun to hear those debates. And for myself, obviously, always check out jacksyfarmer.com. Check me out on AfterBuzz TV, at the Raw show, the AEW Dynamite show. Also, check out, I wrote up an article about the different types of wrestling fans. Go search that and let me know what kind of wrestling fan you are. It's a jolly good read. You're going to enjoy it. But other than that, that's it from us. Always go ahead and let us know if you have any questions. Again, we talked a lot about wrestling, but you can talk about anything here. It's always fun to get the random ones and the weird ones and see what old Flobo thinks about, I don't know, random difficult questions.
We talked about Internet Wrestling, hosts at AfterBuzz. Today is all random. I love it.
Yeah, it was a really good one, and that reminds me one more time. Make sure to check out realtalker.com. That is all. That's it for us. As always, folks. Until next time, do your best and be yourself.